Good morning, everyone. Russ has got the microphone, so I just have to yell really loud. But I just want to say welcome to the second annual all-staff meeting. It looks like we have a great turnout, better than last year. Please still feel free, if there's any food remaining, to go get some. Drinks are over here. We will have a prize drawing at the end, so everybody should have gotten a ticket. Also, if you haven't filled out your packet with the acknowledgments and stuff for the handbook, please be sure you do that. If not, the email has the PDF fillables that you can email back to us. And then also there is a drawing if you're interested in having your name put in the hat for a set of 2 tickets to the Art of Chocolate, which is February 9th. Russ is donating a table, so we'll be giving out 3 2-ticket packs for that event. So see Amy at the back table if you're interested in being a part of that drawing. But otherwise, again, thank you very much for being here. Couldn't have done it without my HR team to help me get this all together. But I'm going to turn it over to Russ to let you know all the good things we did last year, kind of what's going to happen in this coming year. And if you have any questions at the end, please be sure to ask.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Those of you who have not been to the Moose before, welcome to the Bloomington Lodge of Moose. And you can see a thank you up there from them. As sponsoring the Art of Chocolate, they've been our primary sponsor for several years for that. And they sponsor many other things. Our day program, LECO, actually comes here every day for lunch. And we have our parties here and a variety of meetings here, and they do all of that without charge. So if you see any lodge members, and Vern is the chief poobah, he's the governor of the lodge, so feel free to thank him. As Heather mentioned, the purpose of this meeting is to let people know what's been happening, what's going on the coming year, what plans we have long term. We have lots of new employees. One of the things that you'll see is we've had lots of new employees every year. And one of the things we hope to accomplish is see further decrease in turnover, but continue to hire more new employees, because our goal is to increase our staffing. And those of you who are working 70, 80 plus hours, that you'll be able to work less. You may choose to work a lot, but you won't have to work a lot. There's a difference. So one of the things that's happened is we've made some changes in our structure. It's somewhat semantic, it's somewhat words and titles, but there's a reason behind that. Before I started here, I actually knew people in Bloomington. I knew some people who had been involved with the agency. And one of the things that they told me was, Life Designs is an agency with too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And that was real easy to believe, because when I got here, everybody's title was chief something. And it's hard to be a chief if you don't have Indians. So one of the things we did was change it. There are 2 chiefs, the chief executive officer and the chief financial officer is Kathy Martin. Everybody else that runs the department is a director, except for a new position that we created. So Heather was the person who started this off. She's the director of human resources, and Amy is the associate director. Stephanie Shelton, who's here and runs all of our fundraising and external events, is director of development. Cindy Fleetwood is the director of facilities. She runs a number of different facilities, some of which have clients, some of which don't. And she is over all the maintenance and capital expenses. Renee Clevenger, Director of Nursing. Odds are most of you know Renee and the nursing department. Lisa Vandeventer is new as the Director of Residential Services. So she was a service coordinator. Before that, I think she was a team manager and a DSP. Lisa is probably one of the most senior employees here. So now she's running our whole services piece for anyone that has housing, that we support in housing. Brandy Hamilton runs our day program and employment. So she's the director of community services, services that aren't related to residents. And then a new position is continuous quality improvement manager. And that's Desiree Brennan. Brennan. Sorry, Desiree. So some of what we've accomplished over the year 2018. We flattened our structure. And when I show you services specifically, you'll see what I mean about that. We did the title changes. We eliminated 2 levels in services. One was the director of service level, because for those who've been here for a while, we had Danny, and then we had Zach and Essa, or Zach in an open slot, and then we got to service coordinators. Well, now we have Lisa at the top of services and service coordinators right there. No one in between. Our hope is that this will help improve communication. Fewer people communication has to go through. The less confusion there is in that. We've increased the number of frontline managers in supported living, and our frontline managers are our team managers. So we actually increased the number of team managers in supported living by 50%. And you'll see those numbers as we get to that. By doing that, though, one of the things that will accomplish is each team manager has responsibility for fewer settings, fewer clients, fewer staff. So that makes the teams smaller, improves communication among the teams, and team managers who have responsibility for making sure shifts and all of their settings were filled, they have fewer shifts to worry about because they have fewer settings. We've been focusing on staff recruitment, recognition, and retention. We made some improvements in our direct service. I think, did we just lose the PA?
Yeah.
Well, if I have to start shouting up, battery went dead. Okay. I'll let you take care of that. We've made some improvements in our direct service compensation package, and you'll see some of those in the new handbook. I'll show you a graph in a little bit that shows some of those improvements directly. But one of the changes that we made that affects DSPs primarily is if you have been here long enough to have passed some holidays, as a DSP you realize if there's a holiday and you're not scheduled to work, you're not getting paid. If you are scheduled to work, some holidays you've got time and a half, and some holidays you've got double time. And quite honestly, I thought that was really confusing to figure out, and it didn't make a lot of sense, and it isn't the way most companies operate. Typically, if you're eligible for benefits and holidays, if there's a holiday, you get paid for the holiday. Well, that's one of the changes we've made. Holidays now for full-time, hourly staff are 8 hours of your base wage pay, whether or not you're scheduled to work. Part-time, 4 hours of your base pay, whether or not you're scheduled to work. So they're real holidays. And then if you work, you get paid for working at your regular hourly rate. If you go into overtime that week, you get paid for overtime. But essentially what that does is if you work, it makes every holiday a double time holiday. So that increase potentially means with 8 holidays a year, full-timers can essentially get 64 hours more pay each year just by making that change. So that's one of the changes that we hope helps out in compensation. We're also focusing on staff recognition and retention. Those of you who've started over the last few months anyway have typically heard me say when I meet you all on opening day that not only do I believe every position in the agency is important, because from a purely cynical perspective, I'm not going to spend money on something that isn't important. So if you're working here, you're important. But also those people who provide the direct services to our clients have the most important role in the agency. And the way I look at that is our goal is to provide services to clients. It's to serve our clients. The reality is, if I'm out or I come in late, our clients will never know. It won't impact them one bit. But if a DSP comes in late or doesn't show up, a client might not get what they need that day, and other staff will end up not getting to go home. So as a result, those of you who are working with our clients really do hold a position that is supremely important in this agency. And if I can get this to change. We also have a new employee handbook. It's available electronically. There are some printed copies here. It's shorter, it's cleaner, it's more straightforward. We have gone through, because one of the things that we found looking at it, I don't know how many people have ever read the whole handbook, but there were a lot of contradictions within the handbook, or a lot of things that appeared in places that didn't seem to make sense. So if you went to the handbook to look something up, you might not be able to find it. Well, hopefully these changes now have removed the contradictions, made it easier to find things, and they've all been vetted by an employment attorney to make sure that we're up to date with all the labor laws and following all of those. So I said one of the things we were looking at was DSP compensation. We've gone back through payroll records and computed the average hourly wage for people who provide direct services. And what we found is we've got 2017, 2018, 2019 on January 1st of each of those years. And when we computed the average hourly wage, you can see it's gone up each of those 3 years. And INARF, the Indiana Association of Rehabilitation Facilities, does a survey to find out what the average DSP wage is across the state. That straight line that's way down lower than anything else is the state DSP average. So in fact, we're way above the state average, which doesn't help, I know, if you're living in an area that has a higher cost of living. But the state reimburses us based upon what they think they should be paid. But we have managed to do an increase each year. Our goal is to continue to do that. The other thing that I think it's important for people to realize is compensation is more than your take-home pay. And what the company pays for every employee is more than that. You have a variety of benefits. And if you go into Paylocity, you can actually see a chart like this specifically for your pay. But one of the things that it shows is for somebody whose base pay was $11.56 an hour, in 2016, their total compensation package, their total cost to the company of benefits plus salary was almost $32,000. In 2018, it was almost $34,000. And that's for somebody who doesn't work much overtime. For somebody who works a lot of overtime and gets just a few pennies more an hour, in 2016 it was a little over $48,000, and in 2018 that bumped up to $63,000. That's a direct service person, including insurance benefits, including unemployment benefits, okay, all of those things that go to employees. And we have had an impact on staff. That first chart shows our head count. It starts in 2015 And it goes downhill from 2015 to 2018. And then although it didn't go up much, I've been telling the board of directors that what we did last year was we kept our head above water, but the water was right about here, so if there was a stiff breeze, it went up over our nose, and we felt it. But we actually had an increase of 1 in headcount over the course of the year in 2018. But the real key is when you look at that turnover rate. Turnover rate is what percentage of employees leave and have to get replaced. And the further to the right the line goes, the worse it is. That's 15, 16, 17, and 18, because obviously we don't have a turnover rate calculated for 19. We're only 15 days into the year. But last year, our turnover rate was just a little over, I think that says 58%, a drop from 70% the year before, from 78% at its worst. So the churn of people coming and going is decreasing. That's key. It's key because it means people are staying, it means people get more qualified, more familiar with clients, more familiar with their team. All of those things are important in providing client services. And all of those things are important in an agency being successful and getting better. So that is starting to be accomplished. So what else have we done? Well, we're focusing on trying to increase what the state is giving us, because the state says essentially what we have available to pay staff. They base their reimbursement rate on what they think we should be paying people. So last spring, I was actually in DC to meet with Indiana's members of Congress to talk about Medicaid funding, because most of our funding comes through Medicaid. And those of you who follow politics at all would have heard 2 years ago there was a lot of discussion about changing Medicaid, either block grant or per capita funding. I'm not going to get into the whole differences between those and what's better or what's worse, but the bottom line was it was going to be a cap. Whatever each state got for Medicaid, and at that point they were really looking at what the states got for Medicaid in either 2015 or 2016, that would be how much they were going to get going forward. That would make it impossible for the state to increase the rates that they pay us, and therefore the rates that we pay our staff. So that wasn't the first time I was down there. That's something I did while I was in Illinois as well. So far, everybody that's gone down there from different agencies to talk to them has managed to stop them from changing the Medicaid funding model. And with a Democratic House now, we're pretty sure it won't get changed for at least 2 years, because the Democrats weren't looking to freeze it. This past year, as we did a couple of years before that, we worked with Stone Belt to sponsor a local candidates forum. Candidates were invited to come in and talk about what they were doing for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and to be asked questions about that. So it's teaching our legislators that there's a whole population that's important in this state, and they need to do something to help that population. Just last week, I was at the State House and met with some of our elected legislators, because this is a budget year. So every other year, the state sets a budget for the next 2 years. That includes money available for Medicaid, and specifically money available for DDERS and disability services and vocational rehab services. And the push in this year's budget is to get an increase in rates to allow up to a 15% increase in DSP wages, and to get an increase in vocational rehab budget to put more staff at the state level and make more money available to expand the VR program and employment training. So that's what the ARC of Indiana and that's what about 50 providers we're up talking to legislators about. And that's going to be a big push over the next few months. We're also trying to improve transparency and communication across the entire agency. This is the second all-agency meeting, at least since I've been here, and I've been here about 14 months now. Our goal is to have one of these meetings every year, because it's really hard to get everyone together. Even though we have a lot more people here this year than we had last year, we still don't have everyone. We can't have everyone in one place at one time. People have to work, support clients. People have to sleep so that they can get back to work. And people have families, that they have things that they have to do. So we'll never get everyone together, but we do the best we can to talk about that, talk about what we've done, where we're going. All of you, hopefully, saw a message that you needed to do something with your email because we're transitioning to Office 365 from Google Ads. We're doing this for a couple of reasons. Those of you who work out in the field may have heard about the fact that we have this thing called a Shares Drive that has lots of important documents on it. Well, guess what? If you're outside of the Winslow office, you can't access that. One of the things Office 365 does is it gives us something called SharePoint, which is sort of like our own internal Facebook. But we can make documents available on that. Every employee will have an Office 365 account, and you get various privileges. Most people will have the ability to use online apps. So you'll have access to all of Microsoft Office's apps as long as you're connected to the internet. And you can put, if you want, an app on your phone, an app on your tablet that allows you to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, any of those things from your phone or your tablet, as long as you're connected to the internet. It also gives everybody Skype for Business, which is a little improved version of Skype for audio and video conferencing. And we'll start using that more and more to allow us to engage more of you in meetings without having to travel to Winslow to be able to participate. So we'll cut out a lot of this extra travel that people are doing. Every person has an account. That will be our primary official communication to people. So if you haven't ever checked your email before, once we throw the switch and we're on 365, you better start checking your email then. Using a cell to record time is bad enough without having to look at 8 messages every time you try to record your time. We're not going to have a cell high priority messages, except in extremely rare cases. So if you want to know what's happening, you want to check your emails periodically. We're also doing something that was talked about for a couple of years but hadn't gotten accomplished. Those of you who've been here know that I think 2 years ago, maybe a little longer, a lot of tablets started showing up. And the goal for that was to have online fillable forms. Well, that's going to happen. And all of those forms will be available through Office 365. One of the things that shocked me last year, there was one employee who did not get his raise last year from 2017, did not get his raise until I think August of last year, because there was a policy that you couldn't get your raise until your employee performance review had been signed and sent by your supervisor into the office. Well, it was a piece of paper that for some reason didn't make it to the office until August. We'd have staff status change forms that don't make it to the office quickly, or requests for time off that don't make it to the office quickly. By going to electronic forms, those go by email. They'll get to the right place virtually immediately. Don't need paper. Right now, you can put in time off requests in Paylocity and do them electronically. So you don't have to worry about, did your supervisor get the right paper? Did the paper get lost? Are you going to get paid? So this move to more and more fillable forms. We're also hoping to improve your experience overall working here. Over the past several months, I've tried to meet on Monday mornings with every new employee who's hired. Number one, because I like to meet people and find out why people are coming to Life Designs. Because when we know what attracts people to work here, we know what we need to do more of if our goal is to get more people to come and work here and stay here. So I talk with them and I talk about what we do, what our goals are, who the people are. We've made some changes in our training schedule already in the year that I've been here. That training schedule has changed. We're looking at how we can make it possible for people to get the training they need at high quality, the least amount of effort to access that training, but still make it available. Part of that will be looking to make some pieces of training available other than Monday through Friday between 9 and 5. Because not everybody is available during those hours, especially if somebody's coming to work for us who currently has a job and they're moving from one job to another job. They need to be able to find a way to get that training. We've also implemented a change in our continuing education requirements. Continuing ed requirements is 24 hours a year for everybody. And many of you are aware that those little CE forms used to be handed out at every meeting. Well, surprise, meetings aren't really continuing education unless they truly involve training and learning a new skill or gaining new knowledge related to your job. The other surprise is the National Association of DSPs, which is the group that recognizes and professionalizes the position, only requires 20 hours of training every 2 years. So certainly, I started wondering, what makes us think that we need to almost double that training requirement? So our requirement is going to be exactly what NADSP's requirement is. 20 hours every 2 years, on average 10 hours a year. Part of what you'll get credit for will be your required annual training. Not all of it though. Some of your training has to be outside of the required annual training. We've been doing a lot of work on improving our facilities, and those of you who work in group homes, especially, would have seen this. One of the things that we did that was sort of invisible to most people to cut our costs was there was a discount program available through the electric company, and all the lights in the Winslow office have been changed to LEDs. So it's cutting our monthly electric bill significantly. The insurance company came in and did an ergonomic review to help make it easier and more comfortable to be working and decrease repetitive motion injuries. But most importantly, in the group homes especially, we've done lots of things. We replaced roofs on 3 homes. We replaced HVAC systems in 3. We've remodeled 3 bathrooms. We actually built a new bedroom. 2 houses got new siding, 1 house got new floors, 4 houses got new furniture. We've got upgraded laundry facilities, so washers and dryers, or washers with dryers in 4 houses, and we're moving all of our new purchases of washers and dryers to truly commercial level washers and dryers to help decrease breakdowns and maintenance. And we've repaved 1 driveway. And we've got a whole list of more repairs that will be done in the coming year. And I said earlier our focus is clients. So what are we doing to improve our client services? We've actually slowly started to increase the number of staff we have that are providing services. I mentioned we've increased the number of team managers to have smaller groups, smaller areas of responsibility. We are working to increase client opportunities for community engagement, for work. That is what we're supposed to be doing. We are not here. We are a community services-based agency. We are not here to have our clients sit at home all day. We're not here to have our clients go off somewhere and be isolated from the community. Our goal, our purpose, is to help clients become more engaged in the community, to increase their level of independence, to improve how they feel, to improve the quality of their lives. And that's what our focus is going to be on. And sometimes it means we have to convince guardians or case managers that they are holding clients back. And we need to convince them to give our clients an opportunity to grow and move forward. The day program, which was CEO, is now LECO, but it's made a change in that already. On Friday mornings, there's this thing called Flex Fridays. So some of you who aren't familiar with our day program, the standard day program is there are certain classes and they're scheduled for a semester or a term, and people sign up whether or not they want to go to the class. But everybody goes to the class together. And they're in the class until it's time to go to the next class. Flex Fridays is different. Flex Fridays are small groups of clients actually going out to different areas of the community to do things they want to do, integrated with the community. And community integration is a big thing. It's not just my thing, but CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services of the federal government, they're the ones that actually set the rules that we have to follow. CMS has been saying for years that services for intellectual and developmentally disabled individuals have to be integrated into the community. If we don't do that, we risk ultimately losing the opportunity to get funded at all. We created a new position, the Continuous Quality Improvement Manager. This is different from compliance, and it's not just a change in name. Compliance is, are we following the rules? And all we worry about is following the rules. But when we think about the concept of continuous quality improvement, it says, what can we do to get better? When we look at incidents, the difference is, what do we have to do to make sure we don't break the rules? That's compliance. When we look at continuous quality improvement and incidents, we start to look back and say, how did this incident happen? What led up to this incident? And what can we change so incidents like this don't happen again? Those of you who have clients where you're working with a behaviorist hopefully have some familiarity with this concept, because behavioral interventions don't look at the behavior and say, what do we do after the behavior happens to stop it from happening again? Okay, real behavioral intervention says, what can I change before the behavior happens so that it doesn't happen? So CQI for an agency means, do we need to do something different in training? Maybe the problem is our policy. Maybe the problem is the way medications are stored, or the way alarms are set or not set in houses. And we look at those things. It's not, who screwed up. It's what in the environment and in our method of doing things helped create the situation where this incident happened. And how do we change that? So that's really key. All of you are probably familiar with the fact that we changed our pharmacy provider. We've moved to compliance packaging, where medications come packaged together to the greatest extent possible. Does that mean we have no more med areas? Nah, it's not going to mean that. Nothing in reality will ever mean that, because I suspect everybody here is really human. And there's this funny thing that humans make mistakes. So yeah, we'll still have medication areas. But compliance packaging generally decreases the likelihood of those areas. So that was part of that change. We're working with the pharmacy, and we'll be working with all of our different supported living residences to try to change the concept of having medications delivered to the office where somebody has to come pick them up. Our long-term goal is to get medications delivered right to each site, even if it's an apartment where one client lives alone. Work to get the medications delivered there so that we don't have to get a staff member to come up to the office and pick them up. We've been doing things to integrate life designs into the community, because the more the agency is part of the community, the easier it is for our clients to be part of the community. We've been active in a variety of things. SIPN is the Strategic Indiana Provider Network. It is 10 nonprofit providers of services to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities across the state of Indiana. The 10 together serve more individuals than any for-profit agency that offers services in this state. SID, Strategic Insurance Trust. Your health insurance, my health insurance, all of ours, comes through that trust, because what it allowed us to do is combine with 5 agencies to make one big group to negotiate with the insurance companies. And it made a difference this year. Doesn't mean insurance is cheap. But I will tell you that United Healthcare, which is the insurance we had in 2017 and early 2018, when they gave us a rate proposal for 2018-2019, they wanted to increase rates by 24%. Because we were large enough with other agencies to go out and negotiate, United Healthcare didn't care. They weren't going to change it. I think their last best offer was 20%. We got Anthem to come in and offer an increase of 5%. Will it stay that way for the coming year? No, I think this coming year the increase is probably going to be about 11 or 12%, to be honest with you. But that is less than what we would get if it was just us negotiating for insurance. The other thing it will do is let us develop resources so that we can become self-funded. And then we decide what the benefits are for our staff and how to make them most easily available. And when you're large enough to do self-funding, you save even more money. The more money we can save in those types of things saves you in your co-pays and your premiums every paycheck, and makes money available to us to do other things within the compensation package you get. INARF, I mentioned already, the Indiana Association of Rehabilitation Facilities, advocates with the legislature, puts on training opportunities for all levels. So we're engaged in that. We are more and more engaged with chambers of commerce, especially in Bloomington and Columbus. Why is that important? Well, a few things. The first is the businesses have money. So we want businesses to sponsor activities that we do. We want businesses to make donations, because the more money we can bring in that way, the more money that we have available from new programs, for compensation packages. And, funny thing, but People work for businesses. So if we want our clients to have more opportunities to learn work skills, to get jobs, we want businesses to make those opportunities available to them. And being active in the chambers gets those businesses to become familiar with Life Designs and what we do and open themselves up to our clients. We have more community members on our different committees that the board of directors has. Every committee has multiple members of the community on it. So it's not this closed internal group that's running everything. As an example, on our programs committee, which has looked at how we recruit and retain employees, it's looked at our day program, it's looked at our vocational program, it's looked at what we do in services. We have a representative from the Indiana Institute on Developmental Disabilities, and we have a community representative who has worked in the disabilities field for many years and does a lot of work with self-advocacy. So those outside views have helped us look at programs in a way that we can't necessarily see them internally. We're trying to increase our collaboration with Stone Belt and Milestones to make additional training opportunities available and to see how we can utilize more programs to help our clients, to help our staff, without duplicating things that are being done. We are not competitors. The reality is there are more people needing services than there is the ability to provide services. We're not going to lose clients because we're working with Stone Belt. They're not going to lose clients because they're working with us. Because there are always more clients out there trying to get somebody to serve them. We're not accepting new clients that need new services. Neither are they. Because they can't staff new people any more than we can. We're on a Miracle League committee that is being run by the Kiwanis. It's to develop, I believe it's baseball, but it might be softball. I don't sit on that committee. But to develop a field specifically to allow either baseball or softball competition among people with disabilities. And this is really there's a national program. So the Kiwanis has spearheaded this drive here in Bloomington to get a field developed. We got a grant, actually Wayne got a grant in Columbus to provide training and education to employers about how to employ and support individuals with disabilities. Because it's not just our clients who need to learn skills to work in the community. The community needs to learn skills to be able to work with our clients. So that was a program that was developed over there. We've increased the number and variety of internships that we have available, and we're marketing our internships. Those give us additional information, they give us additional support. It allows us to begin projects that we wouldn't be able to begin otherwise. We've been working with the Hoosier Hills Career Center to do mock interviews and employer panels. One of the things that people have learned over the years, both in the medical field and especially in the disabilities field, is that when you want more people to come to work for you, the best way to do it is to grow your own. It's important for teenagers to realize that there is a career, that there is something related to working with people with disabilities. So by working with the Career Center, we get to introduce life designs and services within intellectual and developmental disabilities to high school students who are wondering what they're going to do when they graduate. We've also gotten more involved with HYPE, which is helping young professionals do something. It's through the Chamber of Commerce, and it's for people, I believe, under age 40. I don't qualify, so I don't get to go to those meetings. But they have meetings where people from different companies meet each other. They have different kinds of trainings, how you can improve your resume, how you can use LinkedIn, how you can ask for a raise, how you can find new job trainings. The Franklin Initiative is a speakers bureau and a presentation bureau for schools. We're engaged with that. And we're getting on the speakers panels through the Chamber of Commerce so that when they're looking to put on a program to talk about disabilities, we will have somebody there. There was a program done about disabilities and access last year in Bloomington for the community. There was no speaker on that panel representing intellectual or developmental disabilities. All the people on the panel represented physical disabilities. We need to be out there helping the community realize that there are disabilities other than those they can see, and that those people need support just as much as anybody else. So what are we doing as we go forward? Max. As we go forward, we're starting with, why are we here? Our mission statement should help guide us when we're faced with a decision about, do we implement a new program? Where do we focus our resources? What do we do next? We should be able to look back at our mission statement, and it should help us make that decision. I've been working with the board over the past year because, quite honestly, our mission statement doesn't really help us do that. Our current mission statement says we work with people of all ages and all abilities to improve their quality of life, essentially. I'm not sure that there is any program anyone in this room could come up with that wouldn't fit under that mission statement. The reality is we work with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to help them improve their lives, which means helping them increase their community engagement, identify their goals, achieve their goals. That's really what we do. And our mission statement needs to indicate that. I was hoping to be able to tell you in the mission statement today, because the board was supposed to have a retreat Saturday. But as you all know, there was supposed to be a blizzard. So the retreat was postponed for 2 weeks. So I can't tell you what the new mission statement is, but there will be. This is a strategic planning year. What are we going to do going forward? What are our big goals? And some of you will be involved in that. Strategic planning involves talking to stakeholders. It involves talking to clients, guardians, case managers, other providers, staff, other members of the community, to see what they think the needs are, what they think we do well, what they think we could do better, what they think our priorities should be. And then establishing those priorities for the next 3 years, and then working each year to decide specifically what are we going to do this year to help us achieve those priorities. So that's going to be happening. This is a CAR-free certification year. That time to be working on a new strategic plan and CAR-free certification in the same year. But that's the way it is. So we have to review closely all of our policies to make sure they meet the requirements of CAR, which is the accrediting body. And we're actually required to have programs accredited, unless we want the state to come in and do massive audits and reviews every year, because we're not accredited. So we have been and we will remain an accredited agency. We're getting more involved in state and national policy related to IDD. I will admit part of that is because that's what I did before I came here. I don't want to lose those connections and involvement. but it's also important because it allows our politicians, our elected representatives, to see life designs. And all of you and all of our clients as people whose lives and success matter to them. So we're going to continue to do that. We'll probably see some legislators coming down to meetings at our office, coming to group homes, going to a day program session, any number of places to get an opportunity to see what we do, to meet you, and to meet our clients. We're working with more and more community agencies and things, and I mentioned working with Milestones and Stonewall as an example. But we've also done some collaboration with the Down Syndrome Family Foundation. And then we're focusing on name recognition. Being somebody new to Bloomington and new to life designs, when I came here, it was really interesting to me because this agency, although by different names, has been around for well over 30 years. And the agency that we combined with almost 7 years ago was also around for 30 plus years. So people would ask me, oh, welcome to Bloomington, where do you work? And I said, life design. Like, who? What? They didn't know what life designs was. But when they heard, oh, well, it used to be Options or Crystal, they knew that. We don't want to be life designs formerly known as Options, or life designs formerly known as Crystal. We want to be life designs. We want people to recognize that name in our agency just as quickly as they recognize the name Stonebelt. So that's one of our focuses, right, this year, is name recognition. We've been working with a student to develop a new logo. So we'll still have life designs the way it is, but we'll actually have a little graphic that will become something to represent us as well. Those of you who see anything that goes out by Stonebelt as an example, Stonebelt has this little off-kilter square with multicolored little squares in it. Okay, that's Stonebelt's logo. We'll have a logo that we believe represents us. We're going to work to consistently present ourselves, our name, our appearance, our colors, our logo, everything. And the key, becoming more and more visible in the community. Participating in groups, going out with clients to the community, taking advantage of our social media, our website, of other publicity. We had in yesterday's paper a picture of the Moose presenting a $10,000 check to us as the king of cakes for this year's Art of Chocolate. We expect that that will actually be in a national publication sometime in the next month. So we will be doing more and more things like that to get our name out there, our logo out there, to become more recognized. We have put more placards around the county to encourage people to apply for work. And HR has started getting new applicants who said, yeah, we saw the thing out on Highway 46 or wherever. So it's working. HR is doing a lot of things. And I like the concept, we're focusing on 3 R's, but it's not reading, writing, arithmetic. It's recruiting, retaining, and recognizing staff. We're working and we're showing ourselves at more job fairs this year than we did last year to try to encourage more people to come to work here. We're increasing the use of online employee forms, online forms related to HR. We've been slowly increasing the use of part-time help and intermittent part-time help, especially over the holidays. Because by getting people who are coming in to make more money over the holidays, it gives you more opportunity to take advantage of your time off and get time off, which people don't have. We're working to increase the use of technology. So not just online forms, But we have lots of clients who really don't need, and in many cases don't want, a staff member in their homes all night. But they need access to assistance sometimes. Well, that's what Night Owl does. It's technological monitoring. We're working with case managers and guardians to better understand that technology and increase the use of that. And know that's not going to add more work on you as responders, because we also are posting a position for a Night Owl responder. Somebody who will be trained as a DSP. They'll get a small amount of money to sleep, but be on call from their homes to get up and go when Night Owl says somebody is needed. And then they'll be paid like a DSP at an hourly rate when they have to get up and go. So we won't have to worry about those of you who are responders now. You're working in one setting, and then if you're needed to respond, you have to leave that setting and go someplace else. So we're trying to have specialized people for that. We're also looking at other ways that technology can help. We've had at least one client that I know of who seems to forget to take their meds, and it's a client we don't staff all the time. Well, guess what? There is technology that will say, hey, Mary, take your meds in their home. Or Mary, how are you? So we're going to look at how we can implement that type of technology. We are looking at more options for initial and annual training. Different hours, different ways to do it, different components, different content. Everything is open for discussion to make improvements. The holiday pay and the way we're dealing with holidays, I mentioned early on. We started an employee awards event last year, separate from the client picnic. I don't know how many people think that's significant, but I will say to me, I thought it was important to say we recognize our employees separately from recognizing our clients. Our employees are not our clients. Our clients are not our employees. So we can recognize both, but we need to recognize both as different things dedicated to those individuals we're recognizing and not confusing the issue. We're continuing to look at ways to increase benefits that are available to you. Some of the things that are available that some people knew about, not everybody, and I know emails went out about them. There's a discount on AT&T wireless service for anybody who works for Life Designs. All you have to do is ask for it. There have been, I don't know if there still is, similar discounts for Verizon wireless service. We are working with other businesses to see what types of discounts or bonuses they'll make available just for being a Life Designs employee. This month, there's a beauty parlor, hairstylist, I don't know what the proper term is. It's not a barber shop, I know that. That's offered free haircuts to any Life Designs employee on Wednesdays through the entire month. You just have to make an appointment. An email went out about that. If you haven't seen it or don't know about it, ask someone in HR for the specifics. But we're looking to add things like that. We've been trying to work to get some gym memberships at a low cost or discounted rate. So far, we haven't had success with that one, but we haven't given up yet. The change in structure for services, we hope will make life better for staff and clients. We're also started doing something a little bit different financially. Typically, you don't know whether you're going to have money available for raises or bonuses on any given year until you see how that year is going. One of the things that we are starting to do is at the end of each year, if we make more money than we spend, it really is a profit, even though in a nonprofit they don't like it when you call it that. If we make more money than we spend, we are going to restrict a portion of that money to only be used for employee-related compensation or benefits the following year. So we know that there would be money available the following year for a bonus program, for raises, for adding a new benefit, or changing a benefit. That change in holidays obviously is costing us money. The only way you all can get more money is it's costing the agency money. That's coming from the profits that we managed to make in 2018. We're using 2018's money to give everyone an added benefit in 2019. So we're starting to do that and plan ahead. We're starting to do the same with maintenance, taking a certain amount of money and earmarking, restricted for use in maintenance, for use in renovations and improvements to our facilities. Those of you in a couple of group homes, at least, are aware that we've started to use enterprise fleet management for managing our vehicles. The new vans we got came from Enterprise. We also have gas cards from Enterprise for all of our vehicles. That allows us to keep better track of what's happening with the vehicles, maintain them better, cut our costs because we're able to get some additional volume discounts. And the vehicles we're getting from Enterprise, what we're paying now doesn't just include us having the vehicles, it includes maintenance for the period we have, for less money than what we were paying for leasing vehicles before. We're moving to cloud-based technology, Office 365, for a number of things. Acel is actually cloud-based. We don't have an Acel Provide server in our office. It's out in the ether somewhere, which means you can access it from anywhere. 365 you can access from anywhere. We're moving our fiscal programs, our accounting programs, to cloud-based so that they can be accessed, because we need to think about what happens if people can't get into the office. What happens if the office is destroyed, flooded, has a fire, there's a power outage? By making all these things available in the cloud, we can continue to operate from anywhere. It's also less expensive in the end. Part of our strategic plan is how we're going to increase technology, how we're going to develop and implement ongoing preventive maintenance, not just for technology, but for facilities. When you look at the list of things we did, they all needed to be done, but they shouldn't have all needed to be done the same year. We have duplex complexes, housing options 1 and 2, or Covey Lane and housing options 2. They all had all of their appliances put in the same year. Guess what? They're all going to break the same year as well. If we don't start replacing them slowly, we could suddenly be stuck with having to replace all the appliances and HVAC units in something like 19 different duplexes in 1 year. That's a small fortune. So we're changing that. We've started looking at our vendor contracts. In some cases, we've changed vendors. In some cases, we've renegotiated contracts to get better services, to better meet our needs, and to better control the costs. We've implemented procurement policies, and we're going to continue to implement more. That means our purchasing policies. For all those big jobs that we talked about doing, we actually created a request for proposals. We went out for bid, and we got multiple vendors to offer to do the job for different prices. And we were able to look at the cost and the service and the vendor's reputation and pick the one that had the best combination of those things to do the work. We've been increasing our audits of bills and payments for interns. Gives us better control over things. Okay, we found that we were paying cell phone bills for some things where we didn't have the cell phones. So getting a handle on some of those things. we're looking at our overutilization. Some of you in group homes especially have seen emails from Bert, who does our accounts payable, who's noticed that suddenly the cost of water in a place tripled. And that shows us that we've got a toilet problem, we've got a leak. Or trash went up tremendously. By tracing those things down, we can control those costs long term. And the more we can control costs, the more money we have available for payroll and for staff. And we're looking overall at the applications that we use to make them clearer, to make them quicker and more responsive, to make them more available to staff when that's appropriate. We're working on increasing our fundraising because the state sets what they will pay us. We have no control over what the state wants to pay us. The only way we get more money is finding people, businesses, organizations who will give us money for something. That's fundraising. That's Stephanie's job. So we've changed her job requirements. She used to be responsible for anything related to groups. It's probably the best way to put it. She had the website, she had social media, she had all of our client parties, she had all of our staff events, and she had all of the fundraising events for a department of one. Her responsibility is now fundraising. If it's not related to fundraising, it's someone else's responsibility. And that's resulted in a lot of things. Our increase in internships gave us 2 public finance interns last summer to look at an in-depth review of the week of chocolate and find out areas where we could improve performance or bring in more money through that. We're engaging volunteers. We had a golf scramble this year that was run almost entirely by 3 very engaged volunteers. And it was unbelievably successful. And they've already gotten commitments from even more groups to come and do the event next year. We're moving to a fundraising model which is very structured, and there's another agency similar to ours that moved to that model several years ago. They now have a guarantee of over $100,000 in donations every year, because this model moves people to make long-term annual commitments that they follow up on. So we're moving to that. And we've started something new. We have an ambassador program. Individuals in the community who want to support Life Designs, who care about what we do, and are willing to go out into the community and talk to people they know about what we do and try to get others interested in supporting us, whether it's through volunteering, through our mentor program, volunteering on committees, helping out with different events, or donating money. Any one of those things helps us out. We're working on continuing improvement in facilities. We have a new maintenance person, part-time maintenance person, who just started yesterday. That maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually a 50% increase in the amount of help we have available for maintenance. Okay, Dave has been doing a yeoman's job in trying to keep up with things. We have more work than one person could ever hope to do. And he's done more work than most one people could ever hope to do. But by getting someone else in to help, we can accomplish even more. We're continuing updating and renovating our properties. I mentioned the planned maintenance program. We're also in the process of implementing a new work order system. And I'm going to just give you a brief glimpse of that before we finish today. But that will be a cloud-based work order system where you will be able to go in and create work orders and see the progress on those work orders. when they're supposed to be done, who's supposed to be doing them, what's supposed to happen. It'll track costs, which is important when we look at group homes, because our reimbursement rate for group homes is based upon what we actually spend. So the better we can keep track of what we spend on group homes, the better the state reimburses us appropriately. And then different levels of people, team managers, for example, will be able to see all the work orders related to the areas for which they have responsibility. Service coordinators will be able to see all the work orders related to their areas of responsibility. Be able to see when it's scheduled and know whether or not it's been done, or being done, and who's supposed to do it. Client services. I've talked about clients repeatedly. That is an efficient change. We serve clients, not customers. We serve people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And if we call them anything other than people or individuals, we call them clients. And that's not just a semantic change. It's an important change in the way we look at the people we work with. First, I will tell you that there are several of our clients who hated the concept of being called customers. One of them even was on our board of directors. But there is a difference. You go to Kroger's to buy your groceries. You're a customer. Kroger's has thousands of customers. And their concern is to keep as many of them happy as possible, but not necessarily to keep any individual customer happy. To meet the needs of as many people as possible, but not necessarily to meet the needs of any individual customer. Because if you don't like what's at the Kroger's at College Mall, you can go check out the Kroger's on College Street, or the Kroger's up on the West End. Or you can go to Lucky's, or you can go to Sahara Mart if it's still open. That's a customer. But what's a client? If you have a legal question, you go talk to a professional. You go talk to an expert, a lawyer. You are that lawyer's client. And that lawyer has one goal: to represent you and your interests and protect you, help you get what you need, what you want. Well, guess what? We're professionals. DSP is not direct service provider. It's direct service professional. And our goal is to represent the individuals with whom we work, to help those individuals identify their desires, their goals, what they want to accomplish in life, and then help them achieve that. It's not how do we help most of the people we serve. It's how do we help each person we serve. That's a client. So that's number one. The people we serve are our clients. We're focusing on looking at training. I'll be having, as an example, regular meetings with team managers to find out what things they would like to learn more about. Maybe you'd like to learn more about autism. Maybe you'd like to learn more about behavioral interventions. Maybe you'd like to have more of an understanding of what medications do what. Or more about regulations that not necessarily everybody needs to know, but some people want to know. So we can look at getting those training things. Everything we do is going to be looking at how we increase the independence, the community engagement, community success, and the quality of life for our clients. That's our mantra. That's our goal. Not maintain status quo. Just because somebody wasn't able to do something a year ago doesn't mean they can't do it today. It doesn't mean they can't do it if we change things up a little bit, or we give them a different type of support. That's what employment services does all the time. Just because somebody can't walk in off, one of our clients can't walk in off the street and get a particular job at a business, doesn't mean they can't actually do that job. Sometimes it means educating the employer. Sometimes it means helping our clients learn a little different skill. We're supporting them. We need to figure out what that is to help our clients with anything that will help them increase their independence, their community engagement, their success. I mentioned earlier increasing the use of technological supports, because with technology, a lot of people can become more independent. And not all technology is computer-based. A lot of it is, but not all of it. Some technology is pictures. Communication is key. And the reality is, just because somebody is nonverbal does not mean they're incapable of communicating. Many nonverbal people can hear and understand. Some people don't hear but read and are verbal. Some people use ASL, American Sign Language. Some people use pictures. There are systems for all of those things. Some people use AAC, augmentative and assistive communication devices. Our goal is to help our clients discover what most improves their ability to communicate. Because communication breeds success and community engagement. And it decreases behavioral problems. And we're looking at quality improvement, not just compliance. So, quick summary, and then I'll just give you a quick look at the maintenance, and then we've got some door prizes. What do? We provide needed supports and services to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities so they can design and achieve the life they want. That is not our official mission, but you know what? That's what we do, regardless of what our official mission ends up being. We're made up of professionals. Everyone in this room is a professional. We just have different professions and different skills. We're accountable. Those of you who were at the meeting last year heard me say that. Those of you who've seen me on your first day working for us have heard me talk about the fact we are an accountable agency. We are accountable to our clients, we're accountable to ourselves, we're accountable to each other. We make promises and we keep those promises. None of us is perfect. This is part of the continuous quality improvement. We all can make mistakes. That doesn't mean we've screwed up. A mistake gives us an opportunity to learn how to do something better. And that's our goal in continuous quality improvement. And we'll find, we have a new handbook, we'll find mistakes in that. And we'll correct them as we go on. Most importantly, we're one agency. Yes, we have regions, yes, we have teams, yes, we have different programs. Everyone works for Life Designs. All of our paychecks come out of the same bank account. They all have the same name on them, Life Designs. They all get signed by the same person. We all help one another. We all help each different region and each different team as needed. We support each other, we depend upon each other. And that's important to remember. So, just to give you a quick look before Heather comes up. This is an idea of things that we can look at as administrators in maintenance. Ultimately, we can look at maintenance requests. We'll develop a planned maintenance program in here. We can even start doing purchase orders through here and keeping track of equipment and inventory. You won't have to deal with all of that. Most of you will simply put in maintenance requests. And that's what most of you will see. And you'll see a calendar because maintenance requests get scheduled to be completed. When you first put it in, it automatically gets a scheduled date to be finished. But then when it's reviewed by Cindy, by Jeremiah, occasionally by some other people, those dates may be changed. Moved sooner or later, depending on what all is going on. But when you put in a request, you have lots of drop downs. So you'll be able to identify the type of request, where it is, give a description of it, when you're doing it, if you need to add other people's names to it so they can find out what's going on, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do it from your phone, you'll be able to do it from a tablet, you'll be able to do it from any computer that has internet access. And you will be able to follow any request that you enter, from the time you enter it until after it's completed. So you will always know what's going on. This system is live, but we aren't implementing it quite yet because we're still putting data in. We're going to begin it at the group homes, and then we'll slowly move it out to supported living. Okay, but this is just one of the other changes we're making. So now I'm going to turn it over to Heather for some door prizes before you leave. I believe those of you who aren't rushing back to sites and are hungry, there's still more food, but this is also Taco Tuesday here at the lodge, so there is something related to tacos. It may not be tacos themselves, but something. It's what?
Taco salad in a bag.
Taco salad in a bag.
$5.
Cheap lunch.
I don't want it.
You don't want it?
I don't want it.
Okay.
I don't need it. Woo. That's great. All right, thanks everybody for listening to the updates of what's happened in the last year, what's coming up this year. We've got a lot of exciting things going on. Just some commercial plugs before we do the drawing. Thank you again to the Moose for letting us have the meeting here. It's a great space, very convenient. For most of us, you know, we got the space and everything, so we really appreciate them always being willing to help us with that. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can always see Vern. He is willing to take your application and take your money. $45 for men, $30 for women. They have breakfast every other Saturday from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., $7 all you can eat. It is this Saturday. So if you don't have plans, come in and join them. It's open to the public. Week of Chocolate is coming up here real soon. Go to weekofchocolate.com. Check out all the events that are going on leading up to the art of chocolate, which we got a lot of names in the hat for that drawing. So we will have the drawing for that on January 28th. So that'll give us time to push out for those that couldn't be here. If they want to enter that drawing, they can get their name in the hat. But we will make that drawing on the 28th, and then we will send or give you a call if you have won.